a playlist original.
All right, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Back to the Blockbuster with your hosts, Gaius and Jackson. How you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing well, man. How are we doing today?
I'm doing good. Okay, that felt better.
Lot,
That felt very official. Like actually like throwing
yeah.
your name in. So yeah, I like that. And just in case everyone knows, I know this is I guess wow, now your third official one because the Cloverfield one
Yeah.
dropped two last week. But Jackson is our boy, and he's here to stay. And it's a really good time for him to join because it's in like the middle of award season, a pretty big award season. We had our Oscar nominations that were announced today, which is why we're recording today, Tuesday, instead of yesterday, Monday, because we want to be able to get that out this week rather than wait a full week to talk about it. And there's a lot of other stuff that we have to cover today. But before we get to that, just wanted to catch up and see what you were up to this weekend. I know I was in Big Bear, so I didn't really get to watch a lot myself. All of it was crammed into like Sunday when I got home. But
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
what did you get to like check out and see this weekend?
Well, I remember over the last couple of weeks, my buddies and I were showing my roommate the Lord of the Rings trilogy. So we capped that off on must have been Sunday or Tuesday. We capped off Return of the King, which was great. Got to conclude that trilogy. Don't know how
Yep.
many times, kind of lost track how many times I've seen those over the years, but I'll reiterate, man. Next time you get a chance to get through those, I know they're a journey, but
Carve out time.
have about 3 hours whenever you got it. That it was super worthwhile. It was great. He seemed to really enjoy them. And just like all around, like, and how many, thinking back now, that movie won like 11 Oscars. Is it not tied or the movie with the most
Yeah,
Oscar wins? Now, speaking of Oscar season, I know that
it
it
could
won a
it,
slew of them.
it
Could have
could be,
looked this up before recording, but
No, yeah. I'll look it up while you kind of discuss what you like.
um,
What was the watch like this time like for you? Does it ever get like different? Does it change? Like, do you like find things that you like more about
yeah,
it? Like,
I'd say exactly that. Like the kind of like the whimsical nature of like the watch just kind of wears off the older you get. But I find the more knowledgeable on like the movie making process I become over time, it leads you to discover just appreciate about those movies just because of the
right?
sheer work and talent that went into them. So stuff I wouldn't have thought to even care or notice 5 or 10 years ago when I'd watch these, I pick up now. So it's those are always great. And just
It's
the practical location shoots, all that stuff just looks so gorgeous. I
yeah,
watches it, and there's just one in particular I wanted to cover though. Along with Return of the King, just in nature of watching Clover last week, I threw in 10 Cloverfield Lane last night, which was a sweet rewatch.
yeah.
Um, when was the last time you get the chance to check that one out?
Wow. I haven't watched. You know what? I haven't watched it since it came out like on Blu-ray. I saw it in theaters, and then I have a copy of it.
Right?
I've watched it once because I'm notorious for like buying a movie and either not watching it right away or like watching it once and then like putting it away.
Yeah,
I do like it though. I
same
mean, I
here,
think
man.
I love like the kind of like psychological push and pull between like Mary Elizabeth Winstead and John Goodman. Like they're both really good together, and I
Yeah,
just remember that whole
they
like
were awesome.
yeah, when you're watching it, you're like, dude, is this guy crazy, or is he really, or is there really something going on out there that like, and you don't really
He
know until like the very
great.
end. Like you kind of keeps
Yeah,
you
on
guessing.
IMDb, John Goodman's, yeah, it does really keep you guessing. His performance, he does a great job at riding that line between he doesn't really give away if he's really crazy or if what he's saying is true, and it ends up being a little bit of both. But
Yeah,
I thought it was strange just because like John Goodman's been around for geez, I don't even know, like 30, 40 years now, been in some amazing films over the years. But his on IMDb, his first listed movie is 10 Cloverfield Lane. Like that's what people know or
probably.
associate him with, I guess.
Yeah,
He is great in it.
he's gotten
Um,
lucky. I mean, he got to span across like, I mean, he has a really good film career, of course, like TV career as well. You know, being on Roseanne, he's
yeah, true.
On the Connors still. So he's like one of those like actors that's really lucky to kind of like bounce back and forth between TV and movies. And like I think we recorded our deep dive episode yesterday. I can't say what the movie is because this episode comes
Oh,
out
okay, yeah. Can't wait to find out.
before that episode. But like I say, one of the guys in the movie is Richard Jenkins, and we were talking about Richard Jenkins being like a reliable presence in movies. Like he's like a pretty well
Oh,
known
so
character
true.
actor. Like he always pops up in certain things, and John Goodman's kind of like that too, where you're like, oh
Mm,
yeah, I mean, if he's in something, it's usually going to be pretty good, or he's going to be
yeah.
pretty good in it. I did want to piggyback on what you said about Lord of the Rings really quick because I just found it.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
It's a three-way tie for most Oscar
Oh,
wins.
okay.
It's Lord of
Between
the Rings, The Return of the King, 11 Oscars. Uh and
jeez.
and it was nominated for 11, so it won all 11 of them.
That can't
Um
happen often, which is pretty
and
impressive.
very very cool. Ben-Hur, 11 Oscars, nominated for 12,
Uh
and then Titanic, 11 Oscars, nominated for 14. So there is
wow.
the
Oh,
three-way tie.
nominated for 14. Should have figured that out about Titanic. I've heard this before, just had forgot off the top of my head. And Ben-Hur, this is like the 30s or 40s classic, eh?
Yeah, yeah. So yeah,
That's awesome.
1959. So yeah, yeah.
Oh, 50.
Still,
Okay, a little later
yeah,
than I
still
thought.
really cool. But yeah, like,
Yeah.
but all these have in common. They were like nominated in like, most of the major categories, like picture, director.
Director, yeah.
A lot of Lord of the Rings came due to like technical, best art direction,
Yeah.
best costume design, best film editing, best
Titanic as
makeup.
well.
Titanic as
Right.
well. It did win best adapted screenplay too. I mean, I feel like, with Return of the King, and I'm not knocking it because I think I haven't seen it since it came out, but I do like it. I think a lot of it was a culmination of like, this is ending, and like, you know
Yeah.
we didn't we didn't do it for Fellowship, and we didn't do it for Two
Two
Towers, so
Towers. Yeah.
let's do it for this one. Not saying that they just like, handed it to them because I mean, it's a good movie, and it's a good,
Yeah.
cap off to that trilogy.
Oh, fantastic. I'd be interested to see what it was up against. I didn't haven't looked through what it was up against there's Oscars, but I'd be interested to see what it was competing with. Um the other
I'm
two
actually
things
curious.
that I thought were worth watching or worth talking about. Don't ask me why, but my roommate and I threw on the first episode of Velma, new HBO Velma show.
Oh,
Oh
that show
my
is getting
god.
dragged, man. Have you seen all the
Well,
like negative? Yeah, it's getting
sure
dragged a
have.
lot.
Can't say I disagree with any of it. It was very deserved. It's 1.3 IMDb score. Like I'm not looking to trash. Like it was hard to find stuff to to. I watch it almost for like a comedic watch. But I'm pretty sure I had a straight face the entire 30 minutes or
Fine.
however long the episode ran. Don't know if you had the chance to check it or if you have any interest in checking it out.
No, I mean,
I'll
I
just
do
say it
want
doesn't
to.
come recommended.
Yeah, I do want to check it out, but I like that, like, your opinion on it, because I don't feel like you would drag it just because, like, oh, they changed this and they did that, or
No, exactly.
I know some people are dragging it because Mindy Kaling is like behind it, and there's like that kind of
I
thing
like
too
Minnie
going on.
Kaling.
Yeah,
I
I do
wanted to
too.
like it.
I feel like you wouldn't drag it just because of that. So if it is like
No,
not
no,
that
no.
good, if it's not that
I'm
good,
gonna
then
judge
like
it for its
kind of trust it.
merits.
Yeah, I when I saw that IMDb score, I was like, ooh, geez. Uh, and that could
I'd
be
say
a
it's
mix.
yeah.
That could be a mix of people like dragging it for the wrong
That's what I was
reasons.
about
And
to say.
yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
spiteful 1 out of 10s and deserving like people that actually took the time to watch it and just didn't like it. I'm sure it's a little bit of both.
yeah, I can knock it down
Um,
my must watch list like several notches
mm,
then, if that's the
for
case.
sure, I would say like if there's other stuff out there that you're looking to get in, I'd prioritize some
Yeah,
genuinely good content. But I mean, anything's worth a watch one time, even if you don't think it's going to be up your alley. You never know. Like you said last week, it's good to be surprised sometimes, even if you're not expecting much out of something.
yeah,
That's my 2 cents on Velma episode one. Don't think I'll see much more.
yeah.
The thing I really wanted to touch on just quickly, don't want to take up too much time, but I got a sweet rewatch of one of my favorite action, even just 80s movies in general with First Blood, Sylvester Stallone.
Um,
Don't know if you had the chance to see that. That's an all-time
it's
favorite of
been a
mine. It
while.
was
It's
just
been a while, dude.
yeah,
It's been a
oh,
long
that
time.
movie holds up so well over rewatch. I think I've seen it like 3 times in the last like 2 or 3 years,
Yeah.
and was just in need of something solid, like something I knew I was gonna love. It was a late night watch, and to anybody that's listening that hasn't seen First Blood or any of the first few Rambo movies, if you like 80s action, if you like Sylvester Stallone, comes highly recommended. Like I can't take anything away from that movie. It is just balls to the wall, awesome 80s action, and I was so satisfied after watching it. So wanted to plug that really quick.
Yeah, do it. I kind of want to throw this out there just because I've
Yeah.
asked someone else this before. Um, Sylvester Stallone's career in the '80s, Arnold
Mm,
Schwarzenegger's career in the '80s. Who do you think had like a better '80s?
wow.
Because like with
Now,
him, you have. I mean, I guess like Rocky was like
Yeah,
late 70s, right? Late 70s, but then the sequels carried on to
true.
the 80s. And then you have also the Rambo movies in the 80s. But then Arnold
What else we
Schwarzenegger
got?
has Arnold Schwarzenegger has like the first Terminator. He has The Running Man. He has Predator. He has Twins, which is like a really funny like Arnold Schwarzenegger comedy. God, like I guess they,
Predator. Oh my gosh.
yeah, like
Dude, that's
that's
hard
a
to
hard.
analyze the
It's
two of them.
always been hard because I think that like I've always given the slight edge to Stallone because I think that Arnold Schwarzenegger had like a better 90s like than Stallone did. As far as like cuz like in the early 90s you get like Terminator 2 and Total Recall from
That's a
Schwarzenegger.
great point. And
Like,
then you get
like
Dread from Stallone.
no, I mean you even get Kindergarten Cop from Schwarzenegger,
Oh,
which is
true.
also
Yeah.
really funny. And
Last
then
Action
like
Hero.
yeah, and then like with Stallone you get yeah, like Judge Dredd or Stop or My Mom Will Shoot and some other really bad.
Yeah,
But yeah, I always like wondered that because they both came up in around the same time, doing the same type
that's a
of
great
movies.
point.
You know,
They're easy to compare for sure. They have a
yeah,
similar come up in Hollywood, and they're both underdogs in a way.
yeah,
I'll get back to you on that. I have to look and see and look through their filmography. There's probably plenty amazing movies from those two guys that I haven't had the chance to see, or I'd
yeah,
be like heavily due for a rewatch. So just off the top of my head, I don't even know who I'd pick. But as far as '80s action stars go, like those are some top tier
yeah.
guys in that genre for sure.
Like,
Um, I'd say maybe Arnie's been in more favorite movies of mine than
so
Sylvester's been, but I'd
yep,
take either one of them any day.
yeah.
Love them both.
Yeah, I will. I'll let you marinate on your official answer.
Sure thing. Yeah.
It doesn't even have to be on this episode. Like you can come back like next episode, and be like
Yeah.
I
That's
thought
what I'm
about
thinking
it.
I'm going to do. I'll have an
I
answer
thought
for
of,
you next week.
I will
Um,
say, I guess Stallone has like a little bit of an edge in some regards because Stallone does have like the Oscar pedigree behind him. Like I mean,
that's a good point.
with the original Rocky, and then he was nominated for Best Supporting Actor when he did Creed. That was a big comeback vehicle for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger cannot say that he has had any Oscar love, but I mean, it's not like we go to Arnold's movies for like his incredible range. I mean, it's like it's they're fun. They're fun, but like
Yeah. He's great at
Stallone
what he
was able
does.
yeah, Stallone was able to kind of
Yeah.
transition in and out of like, and I know some people have made the argument, well, Stallone is very good at playing a certain type of role, and like that's what he's kind of good at. Um,
Right.
but like I think he's proven more than a few times to be pretty good dramatic. If you haven't seen this movie called Copland that he made in like the
Heard
mid
of it,
like
but haven't
late
seen it. Yeah.
like 97, it's like him, Robert De Niro, Ray Liotta. It's a really really good movie, and he's amazing in it. When I saw it for the first time, I forgot that like yeah, I forgot about going back to Rocky. Like, he can actually like when he wants to, he could actually put in good work as an actor instead of just kind of like
Yeah.
relying on his skills as an action star. So yeah, yeah,
Well, the
I think it's
entire
always
reason Yeah, the entire reason I even bookmarked this to talk about was literally just because of how enthralling his last. If you recall, First Blood, I'm not sure when the last time you got to see it was, but he has that movie is 90% Sylvester Stallone like beating the shit out of like these backwoods cops and
yeah,
just improvising on the way and demonstrating his skills as a killing machine, hardly
right,
saying anything. He has a couple conversations throughout the movie, but his last 5 minutes where he's in the police precinct and he's going on that big rampage and they send in Colonel Troutman to kind of
yeah,
talk him off the ledge, and he goes into that dramatic story about how his life has just kind of fallen apart after the war and he has no purpose and he's lonely, and the range he puts out in that one scene alone. I think I rewound it 3 times just to watch it again. It was just so profound, and he really does have dramatic acting chops when he wants to put them on.
yeah. I remember there being a distinct difference between that first Rambo movie and then the ones that followed, which feel more like really like typical 80s like
Yeah,
action
I
movies
haven't even
like
seen any of the sequels,
yeah,
so but I
the
know what
tone.
you're
Okay,
saying.
so when you watch them, the tone changes like
Dramatically, eh?
dramatically. It's more like all right, this is just like a shoot 'em up action movie now, and like because like where else do you go, I guess. But
Right. That's a good
no,
point.
they make money though. I mean, whatever.
Yeah. I have
Yeah,
part 2 on DVD. It's going to be in here. I'll probably get it in this week. I'd like to, just while I'm fresh off the rewatch of First Blood. But so
nice.
yeah, I had a busy week with watches, but what'd you get in?
Well, I watched the movie that we did for our deep dive, which I can't. I mean, I could
Right,
say it,
yes.
but like, there's a whole like we're
Nah,
trying to make it
don't
fun.
spoil it.
We're trying to make it fun by getting people to guess it before like
Yeah. No,
the
I
episode
like
posts.
that. I won't
Um,
make you out
you know,
it.
there are going to be hints throughout the week about what it is, but I will say this: like Brad Pitt's in it. And it's
Right.
one of his movies that didn't do so well at the box office, but has been like reevaluated a bit more in the last couple years, like a bit more like
Okay.
topical now, even more so than it
Brad.
was then.
Okay. Brad
So
Pitt, Richard Jenkins. Thinking.
yeah. So like,
Okay.
and it was the first time I had seen it. It was because it was Owen's
Oh.
pick, and
Okay.
I had heard of the movie, but I had never seen it, and I actually really enjoyed it. So we had a little fun chat about that. I actually started
Nice.
watching The Last of Us on
Oh
HBO.
yes, yes, dude.
Um,
Yes, got the first two episodes of that in.
yeah. So
What are your thoughts so far?
I've never played the video game, so I'm coming
Nor
at
have
it
I.
from that angle, right? And like
Yep.
most video game adaptations, I haven't played the game unless it happens to be like Mortal Kombat or like Sonic the Hedgehog, something I grew up with. I stopped
Right.
playing video games like a long time ago, and it's not
Fair
to knock
enough.
anyone that still does, because I still have friends that like obsess over video
Right.
games. Um, it's just like, I grew out of it, even though people are
Yeah,
like, well,
as
you
you
love,
do.
they were like, you love movies. So I was like almost the same thing, and I was like, well, a little different, but whatever. But just looking at it just from like a TV show, especially with a premise like this, like the whole like zombie apocalypse thing has been done a lot, and
I've
it's
heard
hard
that
to make.
complaint actually.
Yeah, it's hard to make it fresh, right? But like, I don't know, like visually the show is really arresting so far. The acting's really good. And I'm looking, even though I've never played the game, I'm watching everyone on Twitter post these like all these different
Comparison
video
shots.
shots that are so accurate to
Yeah.
what, like, I mean, if I was a fan of the game, I'd be completely pleased with like what they're doing.
And many
Um,
are, which is
yeah,
nice. Like it's
that
getting a
was, I
lot
mean,
to love.
yeah, that's been the kind of thing I've seen, like looking on social media, is that everyone seems to love the show so far. And big up to Pedro Pascal, who I mentioned this in our deep dive episode yesterday because we were talking about what we've been watching, and he gets to be on this and The Mandalorian, and like
At the same
it's just
time, yeah.
it's two very successful, critically acclaimed shows. I would recommend giving it a watch. Show like so far, it's been really good. There are really some intense moments. It gets kind of like legit scary at times, and then
Does it
and then some
ever?
of yeah, and then some of the like the creature like zombie designs are like really good, but like so good
Mm.
that it like kind of makes your skin crawl a little bit. Like it's
Hmm.
yeah, I'm impressed by it. Because usually when you hear video game adaptation, you go like, I'm a
Yeah,
little worried.
it's something to be
Well,
weary of because they famously a lot of them go south, are not done very well. Like in comparison, speaking of video game adaptations, I'm a huge Halo fan. Grew up, I'll still go back to those campaigns and play them every year or
yeah,
two. And Paramount's Halo series that came out last year, I was like, it was deeply flawed. I was like very, I was one of
yeah,
those like long-term fans that took a lot of issues with it. So to see The Last of Us, have the success that it has is like really, really refreshing and nice. We'll see how the next 7 episodes go, but I have a lot of faith in it.
yeah,
Um, for fans that or viewers listening that aren't sold yet on watching it, but are fans of Craig Mazin's Chernobyl series on HBO a few years ago, he's come to do The Last of Us. He's helming that, and I have
yeah.
nothing but good things to say about that miniseries. And I think he's got another good one on his hands. That guy knows how to craft a show.
Yeah, I think that like the pedigree behind it helps a lot. I'm glad that you mentioned the whole Chernobyl series thing, because like that made, if there were any fans of the game that were like kind of leery about like, oh, like what are they doing with this, having him
Mm,
behind it made them feel a little bit better. And I also
think
think
of
that the fact that
yeah,
yeah, and also that they took their time and they didn't rush it. This has been in development for like a really long time, and they didn't try to just like kind of push it out there, just you know
yeah,
to like have it succeed on name recognition alone. It seemed like they really were like, I think they knew the pressure of getting it right. And I'm saying that as
yeah,
someone that doesn't even play it. I'm just saying as someone that has like watched, like covering it for like the different outlets I write for, and then like watching people like react to it leading up to it premiering, like, oh, like this better be
right.
good. Like I sense the pressure, and it seems like they did a good job of like, let's
Oh,
not
did they ever?
rush this out. Let's kind of take our time with it. And so far, I know it's only 2 episodes, but I am thoroughly impressed by it so far.
I
So
agree with you.
so
You
I
can see the
encourage,
love in that show and the production design. It's immaculate.
yeah,
It's looked
yeah,
like very, very strenuous endeavor. There's lots going on.
yeah. And then
Yeah.
last night I didn't know what to watch. I was just trying to like watch something in the background, but then I ended up watching it all the way through again. I watched Malcolm and Marie, which is like the movie that
Oh,
Zendaya and John David Washington did, like
yeah.
during like the heart of like the pandemic. Like they shot that in like here in like Southern California, like LA area. Rented out this
Okay.
house. It was basically the like Sam Livingston and the crew basically from like Euphoria, because they were gonna like start shooting season 2 of Euphoria right before COVID hit, and they just delayed it. And but like Zendaya and like Sam had all this like creative like kind of they had all these creative juices going. They're like, we want to use it on something. Like I don't want to
Right.
just like spend the time. If we can like get people to work and like have it be safe, and it's just like a couple actors and a really like small crew in this one
Right.
small location, like if we can make it work, like let's do it. And they did. I mean, it's just the two of them, just the two actors, of course the crew.
Right.
um they sold it to Netflix for a lot of money. I think it was like 20-25 million dollars at the time. And
Okay.
the great thing about it is that like Zendaya and all the other producers made sure that everyone working on that movie got a piece of that profit from
Nice.
the Netflix acquisition. So like, even though people were out of jobs then, they wanted to make sure that they were compensated in a really significant way for working on that movie. So I love like the behind the scenes like of how like it
Mm,
came together. I think it's
love
also really
that.
good. I think it shows like her range even more as an actress too, because like you know a lot of people have thought, especially when that movie came out, everyone was like, "Oh, she's so young, can she play this?" And she has like a maturity that's like a bit beyond her years. So like when she's in scenes
Totally.
with him, like I think they're both good, but when she's in scenes with him, I think she kind of out acts him in like certain moments, and
Wow.
that's a big thing to say against like Denzel Washington's son. So like,
Exactly. Yeah, but I got to
um,
check that one out for sure.
yeah, it's a really short watch too. It's like I think a little over an hour and 20 something minutes. It's like really
Oh,
short, but you have to understand that you're watching two people. Like the plot of the movie is that like he is like a filmmaker, and they're just getting home from him like winning like this like big award for his movie, which he uses his girlfriend as like an inspiration for it. Like she's a character in it, and
okay.
it's a really simple plot point, but like he doesn't thank her in his speech, like for like you know,
Oh, okay.
and it kind of sparks this like huge argument between them, and that's what the movie is
Right.
like the argument, and then like what kind of is causing this rift between them? Is it just that, or is it something deeper than that? Um, I really
I
liked
love
it.
the
So,
premise of that.
yeah, I really liked it. Some people were like, I don't want to watch people argue for an hour and 20. I get it, but like the acting and
Sure.
writing is
Whatever.
so good for me that like I was all in. So like I originally watched it to like kind of fall asleep to something, and I ended up like watching the whole thing again.
Oh,
But yeah,
nice. I got to
yeah,
check that
it's
one
good.
out now. Now that you mentioned it's on Netflix, I kind of forgot it was a Netflix movie. I remember like seeing it and following it when it had come out, but just didn't,
Yeah,
didn't crack my radar at that time. But it's always been there as something to watch. And I love John David Washington in particular. Like I have
yeah,
nothing against Zendaya. I've only really have seen her work in Dune, and she's
yeah.
fine. And I know she's a talented actress, but I do love me some John David Washington. So that's on my list for sure.
That's interesting because like she has such a small part in Dune too. So I feel like you've only seen like
I know.
a little bit.
Yeah,
I mean,
I really
I know
haven't seen much of her.
I know she's supposed to be in part 2 a lot more.
Yeah.
And then of course like she's been winning all kind of awards for Euphoria. I do recommend that show whenever you
Right.
have time to watch it. It's heavy. I mean, it's really
Yeah.
heavy. But
No
like if you can get
doubt.
through if you didn't get through the heaviness of it, it's
Oh,
pretty
that's no
good.
problem for me. Yeah.
And I like kind of like the quirky stuff she's brought to like the 3 Spider-Man movies that she's been in with Tom Holland. Like she's really
Oh, yes. What am I
yeah,
talking about? I've seen in
yeah,
all of those too. Jeez.
she has good
Fun.
chemistry. She has good chemistry with him too. Like, I mean, of course they're dating in real life, so yeah, I guess the
Right.
chemistry is
Yeah.
very good. Um,
She's
but yeah,
funny enough.
I like seeing like young actors like break out and like stuff that you wouldn't expect them to break out in. Like, you're not just relying on your looks. You're not just kind of like playing it safe by doing certain roles. Like, she clearly wants to challenge herself, and like I think that's a nice thing to watch. And like
I
all the stuff that
respect
she
that
does.
as an artist to see
Yeah.
that. So that is great.
Yep, I agree. But yeah, that's all. I mean, I was in Big Bear most of the weekend, surrounded by
Right.
snow
Right.
and the cold.
Oh,
So
hey,
I
yeah. Well, we
we
yesterday
talked a
here in
little
New
bit. Yeah,
Brunswick. Yeah, we got 30
yeah.
centimeters and we're getting up to 50, not confirmed, but it's rumored. The meteorologists are saying my region in Eastern Canada here, we could be getting up to 50 centimeters of snow and rain combined tomorrow or by Thursday. So I know all
Ugh.
about it, man.
Well, you know what? Here in
Ugh.
LA, it's very sunny at the moment. I just
Yeah,
looked
it
out my
looks like
window.
it.
Like the sun's like beating through the window. Uh, but yeah, it was fun. It was nice to get away with my friends for a little bit, and
That's awesome.
yeah, so I had a really good time. But I was really looking forward to this because this is like a big big movie day.
Dude,
It's
this is Christmas morning for me, is Oscar nominations day.
uh,
So I cannot wait to jump into these.
yeah, Oscar nomination Tuesday. You know, we've been talking about like award season. We covered like, God, two award shows last week, plus like the DGA nominations and the PGA nominations, and the SAG nominations. And like we kind of talked about with the SAG, DGA and PGA, that sometimes they correlate with like the Oscar nominations. They did a little bit, but there were some notable like exceptions.
Yep.
There's a couple that like, you know, Twitter's still mad about. They're like it's a on film Twitter. There's like shares being thrown about like a couple of a couple
I
of
think I know
snubs.
one in particular, but let's
Yeah.
hear it. What are they all up in arms about?
All right. So you know what? I'll be nice and get like the just the big awards out of the way, just the big picture. Like so, like start with that. Um,
Yep.
so we have 10 Best Picture nominations. They went with all 10 slots, which is nice, I guess.
Yeah.
um,
I think they
uh,
snuck in a couple there that didn't need to be there,
I
but sure.
I'm kind of I wonder if we're gonna be on the same page. All right, I'm just gonna name them. All right,
Yeah, let's
so
hear them.
All Quiet on the Western Front, which some people were campaigning for to get. I mean, they knew that it would end up in the foreign language category, and it did. But like
Yep.
sometimes those films break into the Best Picture race. Parasite is a really good example of that. That won Best Foreign Language Film the year it was nominated and won Best Picture. I still
Yes,
haven't watched
and it
this.
deserved a win.
I still haven't watched.
All quiet on the Western Front.
No, I still haven't watched it.
Okay.
And like, and you know, it's interesting too. I believe the original won Best Picture when it came out years and years and years ago. So it's a nice little like kind of callback to that. Um,
Yeah,
and,
it's a
and
classic.
yeah, I really need to check it out. Actually high on my list because I want to be able to watch all of these before.
Do you like war
Uh,
movies?
I do. I
Like
really do.
more than any, like, yeah. So I love, I mean, they're not, I wouldn't say favorite genre, definitely up there though. Like I have a soft spot for war movies, and like as far as war movies go, this is at least one of the better ones that have been made in the last 10 or 20 years. And
Yeah.
even as a film, there is so much to love about it. Love
Yeah.
that it's made German language. It's phenomenal. The cast does a great job. Some of the best cinematography I think I've seen from last year. So yeah, very
Nice.
happy to see that it was honored with a Best Picture nomination. But keep going there. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I'm glad you mentioned the cinematography because it cracked that category too.
Yeah,
It's a funny category because there was a couple movies left out that people were like they were putting up screen grabs on Twitter. They're like, how can you like look at a movie that looks like this and not like nominated for best cinematography? But yeah, I'm glad you said at
I
least
know
that has
exactly.
yeah, I'm glad you said at least it has good cinematography, so I can be like, oh, it deserves to be there.
It
Uh,
does.
um, and then Avatar: The Way of Water. Yeah, cool. I haven't watched it yet. Still, now I
Yeah.
have to at this point. Like, if it's one of the
Yeah.
10
Yeah, I have
Best
to get it
Picture
in.
nominees, oddly enough, James Cameron did not get a directing nomination today. Usually,
That's
sometimes
right.
when your film gets nominated, you can pull a director nomination, but he did not. Um,
Hard
this is
when they
also
throw in that many picks.
yeah, and this is also the first example of the Best Picture race, like really also catering to big blockbusters as well in the 10 choices because usually
Yes,
it's a
it
lot of
is.
indies, a lot of small movies, but yeah. And then we have the Banshees of Inisherin, which everyone expected to like make the
No surprise
best
there.
Best Picture cut, much deserved, no surprise at all. Another example of a blockbuster, Elvis, nominated for Best Picture. Really, I mean, I think I made that comment with you. Like, everyone was like, "Well, why is Elvis a part of the award season conversation?" And that girl was like, "Because like it's the only movie your mom is like still talking about from the summer." So like it hit a chord with like older audiences and like still made money. Um,
I
so
guess
that's like
so.
that's a good thing.
Is it
Um,
one of the best movies of 22? We have yet to see. I don't know
um,
if I
uh,
agree with its
I,
nomination, but good for it
Yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
I'm kind of with there. I mean, Austin Butler deserves all the praise he's getting. The film itself is a
Undoubtedly.
mixed bag. But yeah,
Exactly.
another big one we've been rooting for. Also made some money. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Not only is it best picture nominee, it has the most nominations of all the films with 11.
At 11,
Also,
right?
yeah, much deserved spot as well. The Fablemans. That was like a big Twitter thing to do today with like one of the guys I've talked about before who just didn't like the movie. I was really upset.
Okay.
Really upset it's there, but I knew. I mean, it's Spielberg. It's about his life loosely, it was gonna be there. Like,
100%.
there
I
was
would
no
have been
way.
shocked if it wasn't. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
there's
still
no way.
can't wait for that watch.
There's no way Academy voters are gonna like not acknowledge it. Um,
That's right.
Tar is also on the list for Best Picture. Um,
Right?
and then we have another example of big box office. Some said that it single-handedly saved the box office when it came out in May, but Top Gun Maverick got a Best Picture nomination. And the great thing about, I guess, the great thing and kind of record-breaking thing about this is Jerry Bruckheimer is a mega producer, has produced like a ton of movies. This is his first Oscar nomination. Now he doesn't really produce Oscar
Wow.
movies, but this is his
Okay.
first. This is his first Oscar nomination. And even though Tom
Great.
Cruise missed the Best Actor race, he is nominated for Top Gun Maverick as a producer. So like
As
he
a
gets
producer, good for him.
yeah, so good for him.
On the point of the Top Gun producers, I saw something today about Christopher McQuarrie. Now, I didn't know if it was his first nomination or his first adapted screenplay nomination since
Oh, I'm blanking on it
why am
too.
I blanking? Why am I blanking on this movie? From the 90s, Kevin Spacey, Usual Suspects.
Oh, there's my specs. There we go. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So I can't remember if they said it was his first nomination since then or his first nomination for screenplay, but I guess he had a big drought. So good for him to see him get nominated again.
That's true. You know what? It might have been his first one since then. Yeah, which is a really
27 years
yeah,
or something, somewhere in that ballpark. Crazy.
A movie that you've been talked about, Triangle of Sadness, got a Best Picture. It actually showed up in a big way, in a lot of significant categories this morning. I still need to
Happy
watch
to see it. Deserving. And it was shortlisted from the Globes, was it not? It wasn't up there for any of the So good to see it got the Oscar nom. I mean, it won the Palme d'Or last year. Like can't say I'm surprised to see it there. It is a great watch.
Right. And a big nomination here for a movie that a lot of people felt was ignored a lot of award season, even though it was really deserving. Women Talking got a Best Picture nomination as well. Very small movie, but happy for it to make the cut.
Yeah, absolutely.
So of the 10, what do you kind of feel is like, I don't really think that should be there?
Well, the first standout for me is Avatar. I mean, granted, I haven't seen it yet. It's just the nature of the movie. Like just from what I've heard, the reviews I've read, the score it has, the type of movie it is, like I think it's like a here you go sort of nomination, not one that it's in great company. And I don't necessarily think that just because they have room for 10 nominations means they have to fill it. And I think that's what they were going for. And Avatar seemed like an easy choice. I am surprised. I mean, can't say I'm surprised. I know it's gotten lots of love the award season.
Yeah.
I think the fact that James Cameron didn't get a directing nomination, I mean, kind of adds to that conversation.
Yeah.
So Avatar, Elvis, again, is one that I just don't think needs to be there. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with having 7 or 8 nominations. That's a lot of picks for Best Picture. I'm torn on Top Gun Maverick. Like, I love everything about that movie. Saw it 3 times in theaters.
It's a hot take. You're very careful. A lot of people love hot
take. I'm gonna get it on 4K when it comes out, and I honestly can't wait to watch it again because it just, as a cinephile, hit all those those beats that you want out of a movie, especially a blockbuster.
Yeah.
Is it Best Picture nomination material? I don't know. It's not that I'm knocking it. It's just that, is that what that movie is trying to be? I don't know if it's really trying to be the best movie of the year. It may have happened to have been one of the best experiences. I don't know that it needs that. I think it got lots of recognition and praise and did its job without. It's not like it didn't get recognized if it didn't get that Best Picture nomination. So that part just has me wondering if it was necessary. But what do you think?
So I agree with you about Avatar, and I will say this again: I haven't seen it. But I'm basing it on like you said, like other reviews and like people have said about the story. Like everyone's praised how like visually stunning it is, and it got a nomination for visual effects. It is going to win that.
I'm sure it is.
But like I feel that way about that movie. Elvis is another one. Like I kind of go back and forth. Like, is it just enough to ride on Austin Butler's performance to kind of make that movie stay afloat? I kind of felt when I watched it, it's really long, but I felt like it
Oh
didn't.
yeah.
It's like 2.5 hours, or like it's some change,
Jeez.
but it breezes through so many things so fast that even though it's that long, it's like I feel like I didn't get everything that I needed to get from it. And of course, like I said before, Baz Luhrmann, if you're a fan, that razzle dazzle stuff works for some of his movies. It works for Moulin Rouge. It works for Romeo and Juliet. I don't think it works for
Right.
everything that he does, but it is his signature like style. That's what he does. It's like he's all like flash and pop.
Yeah.
Like that's what he is,
Very
right?
much so.
Um, but I don't think it necessarily works for everything, that he would
Yeah.
make. So I would probably remove those two. Now, what's interesting, I told you about the PGA nominations were kind of close to the Oscar for Best Picture.
Yeah.
They matched on one, two, three, four, five, six, seven movies. They matched on
Okay.
Top Gun Maverick, Elvis, Tar, Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Banshees of Inisherin, The Fablemans, and they left out the PGA nominated The Whale, Oscars didn't. PGA nominated
Oh right.
they nominated Glass Onion, The Knives Out Mystery. The Oscars didn't. And then
Yeah.
the PGA also nominated Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, and the Oscars did not. So, but still, to match on like
That's
seven
yeah.
of the 10 is like
It's pretty
uh
good.
pretty good. Yeah, pretty good.
I'd say
Uh,
I agree with the Oscars picks slightly more. I like that the Whale was nominated for the PGAs, but
yeah,
generally I think I agree with the Oscars list a little bit
yeah.
more.
And by the way, guys, we're just going through the nominations today. Like when the Oscars get closer, we'll kind of and we have time to like watch certain things that maybe we didn't see yet. We will throw out some predictions when the ceremony gets a little bit closer on the schedule. So,
Certainly, and it is for March 12th, I think, right now, right?
yeah, yep. So we have some time.
Got some
If
time.
you,
Gonna get all those
yeah,
10 Best Picture watches in for sure.
yep. All right. So actor in the leading role, uh, kind of looks like how I thought it was gonna look. There was one curveball in the mix, but like it was a curveball that people
Mm,
kind of want, that people wanted. They really fought for it. Like we mentioned, Austin Butler and Elvis, Colin Farrell in The Banshees of Inisherin, Brendan Fraser in The Well, Paul Mescal is the curveball here in After Sun, and Bill Nye in Living. I
yeah,
actually just got a copy of After Sun. I'm going to watch it today. I've heard
dude,
great
I can't
things
wait
about
to
it.
see that. Yeah,
And
it's jumped high on my list.
I've actually set up our Dropbox so I will be able to drop links into that for
Sweet.
the things you haven't seen yet.
Great.
Um,
Thank you.
but I am intrigued to see it just based on what people have said about it and like what they've said about his performance, where they say he's like amazing. People were like really fighting for him to get in. Um, I mean, I know people were rooting for Tom Cruise, and like there are scenes in Top Gun where he shows a little bit like yeah, that's the Tom Cruise that used to like act. Um,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
but I kind of was like, he's not gonna get in there if there's someone like really stronger than him. And like in this case, I think it was our boy Paul here. The rest of the
Yeah.
nominees were kind of like similar to like what we've already been seeing. Like, I mean, a lot of people think it's a three-way race between Austin Butler, Colin Farrell, Brendan Fraser. I think even if
I'd
you,
agree with that.
I think now though, if you throw the curveball in like Paul, like he could kind of like weasel his
Sneak
way
in
in
there.
there.
I wouldn't
Yeah,
be mad, like based on what I know about it. I want to ask you a question about the best actors, and just to make it make sense, I meant to bring this up for best picture, but I know we haven't seen all the picks. But like, is there anything that stands out to you that you think has the edge to win? If you were to guess right now, what's going to win best picture? What do you
Uh,
pick?
well, the for best picture,
Yeah,
for best picture. I want to throw all my weight behind Everything Everywhere All at Once, just because I think it's the
yep,
most unique one of the bunch.
for
Um,
sure.
but I have this like feeling that like, and I like the movie. I just have this feeling that Spielberg nostalgia might like kind of take over, and it ends up being the Fablemans. I mean, I could change my
Wouldn't
mind
that be
later.
controversial?
I think it would, and people love him. Like people love Spielberg. There's no hating Spielberg at all. But
No,
I think that like
as you should.
I think that could be the case. I mean, I might change that final prediction later. Um, but
Yeah, I'm
but
expecting mine to change.
but I kind of it would be great to see a movie like Everything Ever All at Once uh
It would,
win a major award like that. I would love to
for
see
sure.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. So to follow up, then, just while we're talking about actors, and I'll ask this for every category we cover, who do you think has the lead for or the edge for actor in a lead role?
Uh,
Any prediction? I mean, we'll get to predictions, but like now, what do you think?
what's funny is that this category has two things that like the Oscars really like. The Academy really loves when someone plays a real life person. In the case of Austin Butler, it's Elvis. And then especially when they do it well, when it's not just like a glorified impersonation of them. And I will
Right.
say that Austin Butler did not just like impersonate him. I would say that he embodied him. Uh, and but the Academy also loves when you ugly yourself up or like kind of like make yourself look really different. In the case of Brendan Fraser, um, that's that. They also
Yes, it is.
love they also love a comeback story. That's also a Brendan
That's
Fraser
what I
thing
thought you were
too.
gonna say first was the comeback
Yeah.
story, and that's what I was thinking for Brendan Fraser. He's my pick
Uh,
right now for the whale.
yeah, but then
Absolutely, he
Austin
is.
Austin Butler also has another thing. Sometimes they do like awarding like kind of fresh young talent, like that kind of come out. I mean, I know he's been acting for a bit, but this is like his breakout role.
True.
As a I would say like for the masses. Um,
Right.
I think it comes down to them, and then like Colin Farrell is like a distant third. But I feel like after I watch After Sun today,
That could
I might
change
feel
things up.
I
I
might
agree.
feel different about Paul Miss. Yeah, because I'm hearing great things about him, and like so many people that were like, even the night before when I was on Twitter, they were like, there were so many like other people I know that are writers and stuff that were like, please let me wake up in the morning to hear like Paul's name on this list, and they were all super happy to hear it. So like, yeah, I mean, there's always like a little outlier there that could like kind of
Mm.
disrupt everything, and he could be that person. Uh,
And
period.
we got that in actress in a leading role as well. A little shake up there.
Yeah, so this
A
is where the
certain someone
first bit of
snuck in with.
yeah, this is where the first bit of
Yeah.
controversy comes from. Um, yeah, so Kate Blanchett for Tar, that was gonna happen.
No surprise. Yep.
Anna de Armas for Blonde. We talked
There
about
she
this here
is.
with the SAG nomination, the Critics' Choice nomination, and the Golden Globe. I was like, they're gonna give her a Best Actress nomination. Now, the funny thing about this, and we're not gonna talk about it in a long time, it's weird that like the day before that movie got nominated for 8 Razzies, like Worst Picture, Worst Director, whatever. But I guess like the one shining star though for everyone, that even people that didn't like the movie, they're like, she's good in it. And like I'm glad that like people still pay, the Academy voters still paid attention to her, despite the fact that they might have issues with the movie. They're like, no, we're judging her on her
Exactly.
performance,
And that's how we should be.
and like I really hope, because I've seen some journalists do this online that have issues with the movie and don't even think that she should be acknowledged for it. I just hope that they don't get too mean spirited in their writing of all this and get mean with her, because it's like it's a really big moment for her. Like she's like
100%.
in the last like couple of years, I think, or 3 years, like she's kind of like blown up in a really big way, and this is like a really good
Since Knives
time for
Out, at
her.
least. Yeah, it
Yeah,
is a great time for her career, and this will definitely push her further. I think I would guess this is her first Oscar nomination for
yeah,
acting.
yeah. First Oscar
Yeah,
nomination, so
so
good for her.
huge
Um,
milestone. Love to see her there.
so
I
this is
want her to
where,
win,
yeah,
honestly. So I
well,
love Anna.
I would just want to see her win, just to like see everyone like, you
Yeah,
know, Twitter just like explode.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, cave in on
um,
itself, but big
yeah.
Anna de Armas fan. So
So the first real big curveball in this category is Andrea Riseborough for To Leslie. Now, here's the deal. Like you would be forgiven not to know anything about it. I didn't know anything about the movie
thank
until a
you,
week ago.
because neither did I.
A
Nope,
week ago. A week ago.
not a thing.
I know who she is. I've only seen one movie that she's been in, and it's a movie I think is really underrated. It's called Disconnect. It came out in like 2012 or 2013. Like it's basically
Okay,
like four interconnecting stories that deal with like issues with like the internet. So like kind of like the whole moral of the story is that how we need to like basically disconnect and like get to like know each other more and be more present, like that kind of thing. And
and
then like
and that came
and
out
the
10 years ago.
yeah,
Holy, talk
and
about ahead of its time.
and she was really good in that movie, but that's the only thing I've seen her in. I didn't start hearing about this until a week ago when like she has some famous friends that really campaign hard for her right before voting closed, and that's like Gwyneth Paltrow, Edward Norton, uh, Demi Moore,
Oh,
Minnie Driver. They're all Charlize Theron. They're all holding screenings for this really small movie that no one has seen. Um, I haven't seen it, so I can't judge it. Um, the controversy is is it fair to get your famous friends to campaign for you at the last minute to
Hmm.
get in the slot? Um, I mean, I don't think that's horrible because on like what you will find out is like with the Oscar nominations, it's about talent, but it's also about like who is doing the most to like push themselves out there to get
Right.
noticed by the Academy, right? And when you have big names like that saying that this is like one of the best performances of the year, you have to see it. Frances Fisher was another actress that basically said, I think only 213 members needed to like put in a word for her in the final voting to like push her to the forefront. And she put that on social media right before voting closed. So she got like a groundswell of like big support from like these
Okay.
big names. Um, I think the other big controversy is Viola Davis is not in this category. She was nominated for the Woman King at SAG and BAFTA, Critics' Choice.
Right.
A lot of people think that she took her spot. So that's another reason why people are upset. Um, and then
Yeah.
then there's the argument from people, well, why should someone get nominated from a movie I've never heard of? Well, I mean, that's gonna be on us for having not heard of it or seen it.
Right.
Now I wish I could figure out like where to go see it because it's playing nowhere by me. And I don't I'm gonna try to see if I can get a copy of it. But like I said, I hadn't heard of the movie until last week. I know that she plays a character that's struggling with like drug addiction. That's a
Okay.
big that could be a big emotional like thing for an actress
Mm.
to play. So I can see her being very good in a role like that. But again, I compare it to the Anna de Armas thing. Let's not take the shine away from like these
Exactly.
people.
Yeah.
Like it's not her like almost to drag her because she's there. It's not her fault. She did like yeah,
Right.
she campaigned for it, but like ultimately they chose her. So like it's
Got to
and it
live with
brings it
the choices.
yeah, and it brings
That's what the
attention
Academy
to
went with.
yeah, brings attention to a very small movie that maybe more people will go try to see now if they can find it. And I mean, if I can find it, I will see it. I will see
Hopefully
it.
it's accessible. I mean, who doesn't want to? You can't. I got to be behind that. Like a smaller movie getting some traction. Like, what's not
Yeah.
to like about that? Good for
Yep.
her.
And then another controversial one a little bit. Michelle Williams pulled out a nomination for The Fablemans.
Yes,
I
she missed the
mentioned
Globe, right?
yeah, well I think SAG too, and I
Sad.
mentioned
Okay.
and I mentioned that like she positioned herself as a lead in this, and everyone's like, no, she's supporting. Why is she making herself a lead? Everyone thought that like that would cost her a spot. It didn't. But some people think it's not fair because like they don't think she is a lead in The Fablemans. She is supporting, character. Um, this is her fifth Oscar nomination, by the way. Um,
Holy.
so, it's crazy because like Dawson's Creek just had its 25th anniversary the other day, and when I was thinking of like who from that TV show would have the most successful career, I never thought it was her because like she
I
always
didn't
was
even know
like the
she was
more
in it.
yeah, she was well, she was the youngest one in the show. I think she was like 17 or 18 when she got the show. It's like a year or two younger than like Katie Holmes. Um, Katie Holmes had the more like showy part of the female. Like she was like, the best friend who was in love with Dawson. And then Dawson
Oh,
was like
okay.
dating Michelle Williams' character when she first got on the show. Um, but she was also always a bit more low key than the rest of the cast. So I was like,
Okay.
I never like pegged her to be like the one that would like go on to like all this like Oscar glory. But like, yeah, she's been nominated 5 times now, um,
Jeez.
and she's actually pulled in some really great performances across her like film career. And
Yeah,
what
like
I
Manchester by the Sea comes to mind for her. I
yeah,
love her in
She got
that. She
nominated for
definitely
that.
she has an
My
Oscar
week with
scene in that movie.
yeah, My Week with Marilyn. She got nominated for that as well. Blue Valentine, great movie, nominated.
Oh yeah.
Very depressing though.
I
If
can't
you,
watch it yet. I'm not ready for that movie. I have it, but I haven't thrown it in because I don't know
yeah,
I'm ready for it.
it's a gut punch. But yeah,
Oh God.
good for her. And then like the
Yeah.
final one, it's a really good one. Michelle Yeoh for Everything Everywhere All at Once. Um, big thing for her is Asian American actress being nominated for Best Actress. It's huge.
Yeah.
That whole movie got a lot of recognition in other categories too. I kind of
Four
think in this
acting
kind of
noms. Yeah.
yeah, I kind of think in this category it's going to come down to Michelle Yeoh and Kate Blanchett. But
I agree.
as I said with Paul Mescal, I'm going to say the same thing about Andrea Riseborough, who might be an outlier here and like sneak in and win. I don't know. Um,
That's right.
but for now, I'm going Kate or Michelle, and then like I'll do a final one once it gets closer.
Yeah, I agree. It's anyone's game at this point. But just judging on the trajectory of Kate and Michelle Yeoh, I believe that they just have that extra oomph behind them. But we'll see how
Yeah,
things go. Definitely got to see a couple more performances before I can really weigh in.
yeah. Directing. It all looks how I was thought it was gonna look, except for one. But Martin McDonagh, and James Van Sheeran, the Daniels for Everything Everywhere All at Once, Steven Spielberg for The Fablemans, Todd Field for Tar, and Ruben, I'm gonna Ostlund, for
Austin,
Triangle
yeah,
of Sadness.
exactly.
Yeah, for Triangle of Sadness. That was the one that I wasn't expecting. But like I said, they had a pretty good morning. In a few major categories. I think the big difference between the DGA is that Joseph Kaczynski was nominated for Top Gun Maverick at the Directors Guild,
Right.
and he did not make the cut here. But 4 out of 5 is not a bad comparison.
No, it's pretty
Uh,
close.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I want the Daniels to win, but I think they're
Yeah,
gonna give it. I think they're gonna give it to Spielberg. But that's just my initial thought right now.
I feel it. Like, just had the chance to see Everything Everywhere twice this year or last year. And I was specifically looking more towards the direction on my second watch, and it's hard to pass up that movie as a clear best directing choice. Like, God, the work they put into that movie is just absolutely astounding.
Yeah,
I can't argue with you. I think Steven's a good choice too, and probably an Academy favorite. And you can never count him out, just like you can't count out a James Cameron blockbuster raking in 2 billion. He's
yep,
now the first person to have three $2 billion movies at the box office, and
ridiculous.
Steven's right up there with him in terms of star power. So hard to count him out. I think you're right. It being between the two of them. If I were to throw in another kind of curveball pick, I like Martin McDonagh too. He
Yeah,
got the
that's actually a good
screenplay.
choice.
Yeah,
I think he might.
it
I
could
think he
if it's too
might.
hard.
Yeah, I think he might
See,
end up with a screenplay award though. I kind of feel like
even
because I kind of feel like we're like, and this is just me speculating. When the Academy is like, okay, well, we're not going to give Martin McDonagh director, but if we give him the screenplay award, then it's like we acknowledge like the work that he put in on that
right.
film. I kind of feel like that is what's going to happen there. But like, he could be a curveball in the directing
See, I'm
category
thinking
too.
like the Daniels and Steven Spielberg might split, and then someone else might be able to sneak in past there with not a lot of votes, but just more than I'm sure a lot of
Yeah,
votes will come down between those two. So yeah, you never know what's going to happen there.
yeah, that's true. I agree. All right, best actor in a supporting role also mostly looks like we've seen it with maybe one or two exceptions. Brendan Gleeson, the Banshees of Inisherin. Brian Tyree Henry is for Causeway. A lot of people were
Which
like
I had
campaigning
not
for.
heard of either.
Yeah, it's on Apple. It's him and Jennifer Lawrence. A lot of people were campaigning for him too, and he missed a few awards. I think he got a Critics' Choice nomination. And stuff like that. But like everyone was like, well, maybe he can sneak in, and he did. Um, Judd Hirsch
Good
for
for
The
him.
Fablemans. The supporting category is going to be Judd Hirsch for The Fablemans or Paul Dano. Some people thought Paul Dano had it locked, but they went with Judd
Okay.
Hirsch. They went with Judd Hirsch. I always all right. Barry, what's his last name? From is it?
Again, multiple pronunciations. I'd go with Keegan. I've heard that, and
All
that
right,
seems to be
Keegan.
the easiest one to pronounce.
Barry
Right.
Keegan.
I
And
hope.
I will say
Yeah.
the same thing I said when I butchered his name the last time, or the guy who
Yeah.
was the best thing about the Eternals, for the Banshees of Inisherin, and K. Huey Kwan and Everything Everywhere All at Once. I think it's going to him. I think I can't see it going to anyone else. I think he swept every major award up at this point.
Yeah. That's one that's locked, I think.
Yeah, and I
But
and
anyway, I'll be betting.
he'll be giving the best speech too. I would imagine as well. he'll
Yeah,
probably
that will
make
be a triumphant moment. I am,
he'll probably make everyone
yeah,
cry.
quite
I
certain.
imagine.
Yeah, I'm sure he will. Oh, yeah.
And the best supporting actress category looks like what we thought it would too. Angela Bassett in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Hung Chow in The Whale. Carrie Condon in The Banshees of
Yes,
Inisherin.
love it.
Jamie Lee Curtis in Everything Everywhere All at Once. And Stephanie Shu in Everything Everywhere All at Once. I'm glad that she got in there because people were like, if they nominate Jamie Lee Curtis and not her, they were gonna get really upset. So I'm
Right.
glad they both got acknowledgement. For Jamie Lee Curtis, this is a really cool nomination. She's been in the business 45 years, I think. Her pedigree,
Wow.
I mean, her dad was Tony Curtis, also Oscar nominated. Her mom's
Her
Janet Leigh,
mom.
Oscar nominated for Psycho, and now she is a Oscar nominee after all these years in the business. I mean, I for me, this is like the win for her because she's not gonna win. Uh,
No.
but I think just to be nominated when you're at her level. Now I've seen online some people are like, oh, they gave her the honorary "You've been in the business the so long nomination, um, and that could be
Right.
true. But like
Yeah, we'll never know.
she was funny in the. I mean, she was really interesting in the movie. I mean, I think that Stephanie she has a like more the gives a better performance than her, but they're also
She has
very
more to
different.
do in that movie. Yeah.
There's more to do. Yeah, yeah. But you know, I'm glad that most of the major actors from that movie got acknowledgement, and I think
Exactly.
that's pretty cool. Um, as far as who I think is going to take it, I'm still riding the Angela Bassett train all the way to the
Yeah.
to the very end. I mean, if she wins
So
SAG, if she wins SAG, then I think she's definitely going to win the Oscar. She
for
might not
sure.
win. She might not win the BAFTA because like they tend to cater to like the Banshees of Inisherin. They think is going to sweep a lot of those like acting awards at BAFTA because that's just the kind of movie it is, and like the British
Yeah.
Academy thinks differently. Um, but
Exactly. And he is Scottish or Irish. Like they're
yeah,
definitely
yeah.
gonna favor
But
him.
I mean,
Martin, that is.
do you see any outliers in that category, or do you think just based on like what you've seen so far that like she might be the
Um,
definite front runner?
Angela.
Yeah, yeah,
I actually am thinking I'm leaning towards Hong Chow for the whale. Having come off that watch earlier this month, thought she did a phenomenal job in it. She was also great in the menu. I feel like she could have got some recognition for that movie as well. I get it's tired
yeah.
with limited spots, but I don't know necessarily where I think they'll give the trophy to. I'm hoping Hong Chow. She was my of these performances I've seen. Her and
Yeah.
Carrie Condon, I think were phenomenal. I like them both. I wouldn't be mad with either of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say I'm leaning towards Hong Chow. On the note of Angela Bassett, though, so in 30 movies or however many there are in the MCU, she is now officially the first MCU actor to have garnered an Oscar
Also
nomination. Is that right?
nomination. That is very true.
Crazy. Good for
Yeah. So
her.
I mean, good for her. I mean,
Milestone.
if anyone that could do, there are certain actresses like her, Viola Davis, like they are just like powerful. They always give like powerful performances, and I'm like, if
Right.
this, if anyone was going to be like one of the first to have that happen,
Right.
it's very fitting that it's her. Um, I know I keep talking about the scene, but it is a great scene. Like it's like, all right, you're
Mm,
like if they have time because I know sometimes they don't show clips of the Oscars if they're running short on time, but if they like show that whatever clip they're gonna show to like show like oh like how good are they in this,
I hope I
it'll
see
be
it. Yeah.
it'll be that clip.
I'm
And
hoping that's yeah.
you know, and there's a big debate like you know does one scene make for a overall like best you know performance like but maybe it can. I mean, like if it really like kind of moves you that much, maybe it can. And
Yeah.
she has so much respect in the industry that, like I said, like if she wins for this, I don't think anyone's gonna like roll their eyes and be like, oh, like she won for that Marvel movie. I think they're gonna just be like, oh, like she deserves it. She's a great actress. Like you know, it's her time.
Was that Marvel's only Oscar nomination? I didn't have a chance to check out all the
Uh,
technical
so
categories yet.
yeah, so Black Panther got some nods and like some of the technical, I think costume
Oh, did it?
design.
Oh, okay.
Uh, yeah, let me look at other ones. Yeah, let me see. Oh,
That
and
was just the only one that I saw.
best original song for Rihanna's "Lift Me
Oh,
Up."
right, right.
Um, it
I saw
also
that.
got yeah, costume design. I think and makeup and hairstyling. Yeah, so he got some technical
Okay.
nods. Well, you know, which is a big difference
Never
from when the
mind.
first one came out. Because the first one got a Best Picture nomination, and
Mhm.
like it was a big, but it was a big deal. It was like a kind of like a pop cultural. It was a huge movement for that
Phenomenon
movie.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and yeah. As far as like some of the other, I was trying to look for screenplays. So my screen was freezing up a little bit because I know that's kind of important too.
Screenplay,
Uh,
yeah, cinematography I want to cover as well.
yeah. So adapted screenplay, and there are some people that are wondering. Even though this is not the first one listed, I just wanted to get it out of the way. Two of
Yep.
them actually: Glass Onion, The Knives Out Mystery, and Top Gun Maverick. Everyone's wondering why are they adapted screenplays.
Interesting. Yeah.
Apparently, under the Oscar rules, if it's a sequel, it's being adapted from like the original movie, so that makes it a adapted screenplay rather than an original screenplay.
Okay.
I
Interesting.
think that's very loose reasoning.
Yeah, me
Does
too.
because yeah, I really don't like. It's still like an original script, and it's not based on like previous source material. Like you're not like adapting the first movie again. So
No,
I think that's
exactly.
kind of I think that's kind of weird. But like yeah, they Glass Onion. It's the only nomination that it got at the Oscars, but Ryan Johnson got it for his adapted screenplay, and then Top Gun Maverick. Uh, Yeah, adapted screenplay: Aaron Kruger, Aaron Warren Singer, and Christopher Curry. Also, oh, and Peter Craig and Justin Marks. A lot of people got nominated for that. Oddly
Holy
enough, Aaron.
smokes, how many people wrote that movie? Oh
I
my
know.
god.
Oddly enough, Aaron Kruger wrote Scream 3, so I mean, good for him. That's a
Oh wow.
good come up.
Yeah, big
um,
time.
and then the other ones in this category are All Quiet on the Western Front, Living, and Women Talking, which is a big nomination for Sarah Polley.
Yeah, good
Um,
for her.
I think this could be the one that if they wanted to acknowledge women talking, it would be here. Um, I think that would be like, I can't see Top Gun Maverick winning.
Nah,
I can't see
I
Knives
can't
Out.
see Glass Onion. No.
I need to watch All Quiet on the Western Front and Living, but if I have to, if they want to be like, all right, guys, like everyone's ignored women talking all award season, let's
Right.
give it its due. Because it's not going to win Best Picture, I don't think. But I think the
No, I don't
screenplay
think so
award
either.
is where it's at.
To me, this goes to All Quiet on the Western Front. Like if I were to pick right now, like that screenplay is awesome. They do a
Yeah,
great job honoring the first one. Uh, yeah, surprised to see like again, like I told you, I wasn't the biggest fan of Glass Onion. I mean, granted, Ryan Johnson's a talented writer, even though he's
right.
done some stuff in the past I don't love. He is a fantastic writer, so good to see him recognized with that. But I don't know, just I'm surprised to see Glass Onion in there. But where there's two screenplay categories, I guess I'm not really that upset about it.
Yeah. So with original screenplay,
Here we
and this
go.
one, this one actually might be the one of the more exciting ones, and I don't think people are expecting it to be, but like it is really like, so the competition is pretty fierce. So like the Banshees of Inisherin, Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Fablemans, Tar, and Triangle of Sadness. You were talking about like the splitting of the vote and all that stuff earlier.
Yeah.
Um,
What do you
I can see
think
that. I
for
can
this
kind
one?
of see that happening here. I like I said earlier, I think they want to award Banji something. Um, and I
That's
don't
a
know
good
if it's going to
point.
win. I don't think it's going to win Best Picture. It could actually pull upset and win. I don't know. And I don't think it's going to win Best Director. I think this is like its best shot for like a
Its
major
best
award.
shot. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not going to win in the supporting category. That's going to Ke Huy Quan. Uh, and then
Yeah.
the two that are nominated in supporting actress, I don't think either one of them are going to win. Michelle Yeoh has a shot at like in her, winning Best Actress
Yep.
between her and Kate Blanchett, and even the Daniels have a shot in directing and stuff too. I don't know, but I think Banshees has, this is where it could be a clear winner if they want to acknowledge it with a major
Yeah.
award. So,
In the event that two movies in particular split the original screenplay, I can see Triangle of Sadness sneaking in there and getting some votes. It is a really slick and cleverly written movie. It's just a great social satire and social
right.
commentary, which I think will go a long way in terms of voters recognizing it. So don't count it out. It is a good screenplay, and I could see it. I don't necessarily think that I know it's going to win. Like I really like Everything Everywhere for this one,
Right.
because it is truly defines what makes an original movie. So that's why I'm thinking that. But Triangle of Sadness, don't count it out and get it in before Oscars too, because you'll enjoy that one.
Yeah. Yeah. I need to see it. I still need to see it. But yeah, I mean, that's a really good category, I think. Um,
100%.
And the one technical where I wanted to mention, because like the movie that was everyone thinks should be nominated for best cinematography is Top Gun Maverick, and it did not get one. Another one is
Oh,
and another one is the Batman. A lot of people have like mentioned like, and that got 3 nominations in some other technical categories, but it like
sound I
Top,
saw. Yeah.
yeah, Top Gun Maverick is a good looking movie. I don't know how it missed the cinematography, but All Quiet on the Western Front, like you said it has good cinematography, so it's there. And
Yeah,
then
it does. Here we go.
Bardo, False Chronicle of a Handful of Truths. It's a Netflix movie. I've never seen it. I don't know how good it looks. Elvis, Empire of Light,
Jeez.
and Tar. Um, yeah,
I'm surprised at that category. This is the first chance I've had to look at it. It's on my screen right now, and I'm just seeing it for the first time. And I got to say, that is a category that I kind of feel is weaker. I did not expect these picks to be in there.
yeah,
Um,
I agree.
Elvis in
Um,
particular, I'm just surprised. There's nothing in the trailers of the footage I saw that made me think, wow, that is a great, movie that's with strong cinematography. I don't doubt that it is good, but what a strong year
it's
2022
a
had for
it's that
cinematography.
it's that Bass Lerman razzle dazzle, man. I think they all get like
It,
distracted by
yeah, I
it.
think you're right. I think you're right, man.
They get so
Not
distracted by it.
surprised to see. Yeah, the great Roger Deakins in there for Empire of Light. I'm honestly just glad to see that movie get recognized. Like it's hardly been mentioned anywhere, and Deakins is the goat,
Yep,
so good for him.
I
Bardo,
agree.
I have nothing to comment on. I don't.
Yeah,
I don't remember
I got
seeing the
nothing
title.
either.
Nothing
I
for
got
that
nothing.
one.
I got nothing.
All Quiet is really the first one and only one on there that I can like think that is why it's being recognized. Like Tar, no doubt, is a great movie, and I'm really excited to see it. Just I wouldn't have expected it to get a cinematography
Yeah,
nomination. But my biggest gripe of this category is again, like I mentioned last week, The Northman not getting any recognition. That movie shot so
that
beautifully.
I saw that listed
Oh,
too a lot on Twitter. They were like, this guy went on like a rant, and he was like, and again,
I feel like that
again,
guy.
again, posted a bunch of images from the movie that were like, oh yeah, I mean, I don't see how they ignored
Did
it.
you see it?
I did see it. I liked it. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
it's a great looking movie. It's a really good looking
Oh,
movie.
I feel like that's a
Yeah,
snub big time. That movie was
yeah,
phenomenal. I don't know. I didn't see it in any other categories. I don't think it got any love. Maybe some
yeah.
technicals I didn't see.
Well,
But yeah, interesting category.
speaking of stuff, I mean, there's other technical categories. I don't know if you want to touch on them, but they're like production design and stuff like that. Like all the usual suspects are there. Original score, I think
Right.
that's. I mean, Babylon got
That's a
no
good
major
one.
nominations except for. I mean, it's gonna win original score maybe, and it'll
I
be a
think so
good.
too.
um,
Easy bet.
I, and I had a friend that woke up who didn't like Babylon. That was like, thank God I didn't sneak in there because he was like, I was really worried that like it was gonna sneak in and still get like a Best Picture nomination or something. And I was like,
I
you're a hater.
I wouldn't have been mad if it did. Like I would have liked to see it there over Avatar or even Elvis. But
Yeah, and
I don't know. It
I'm
is what
just and honestly, the Best Actress race is tight, but like, dude, Margot Robbie was like
oh yeah.
giving it her all, and like didn't get like nominated. I mean, I think if the movie was better received, it would this would be a different
I bet you're
story
right. People are
this
saying
morning.
career best performance by her. Like, come
Yeah,
on. It
but
is yeah, it's hard.
I mean, it's hard when there's only like 5 slots. I mean, I get it.
Exactly. Do you think they'll
Um,
ever expand that? I can't remember if I asked you this last week. Like just five just seems like such a
you
tight race.
did,
And there's
you did, and like actually, someone else brought it up on Twitter today how they should have
oh yeah,
maybe at least one or two more slots since like the Best Picture category can have up to 10.
I think it would balance that out a bit.
I think it would. I mean, I think you would also get people complaining like, well, everyone can get nominated. Like, we can't make sure like everyone gets in. Um,
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
but but speaking of snubs, and surprises, we already mentioned that like Andrea Riseborough was a surprise. She was a big surprise to everyone this morning. I
Yep.
think she was surprised that, like people probably even know who she was.
She's
Uh,
probably surprised. Yeah.
Viola Davis and actually the Woman King just being shut out completely. I mean, it she could have gotten the nod as a producer if it got nominated for Best Picture. She campaigned hard for it.
Mm,
It did
yeah.
well at the box office. It had that going for it. She was nominated for SAG and BAFTA Critics' Choice, not at the Oscars. Some people are calling that a snub. Another one is Danielle Detweiler. She was in this movie Till. She got a SAG nomination recently. They thought that she might sneak in there. A lot of people who are mean on social media claim that Andrea took her spot. Um,
Right.
you know, it is what it is. I mean, everyone can't get it, but like, yeah, she was listed
Exactly.
as one of the snubs. Um, Female directors also. I mean, we've talked about this a
Yeah.
bit. A
Not a
lot of
new phenomenon by any means.
no, and like this happens every year. It seems like they either give us one or none,
Right.
and and the excuse is always like, well, like the work just wasn't there, or like like they compared to everyone else. And I don't think you can say that this year. There was a lot of like the women talking, the Woman King. She said there's a lot of like representation there that could have been like the fact that she said got no nominations is crazy to me. It's like a really solid movie. Um, but like I don't know. It's a problem. They haven't fixed it. I think they feel like once
Well,
they
like, how
give
do you?
it's hard to
It's a
fix.
hard problem to address. How do you fix it? Like, do you say that any of these directors aren't are?
Yeah,
At what point are you
how do you
saying
say
let's
it
give it?
as a
Like, is
participation
it?
trophy?
Well, yeah. Like, I'm not gonna detract from any of these. I haven't actually. I don't have much of a leg to stand on here because I haven't seen any of the movies that were directed by women. So, like, listeners, just take what I'm saying with a grain of salt.
Right.
But at what point, like, if you do nominate one of these and look at the list in front of me right now, and you take off one of these, at what point
Yeah.
are you giving it? I'm sure these women don't want to be nominated for the fact that they're women. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, and that's not to say that they didn't make great films. This is just comes down to the conversation is that the category is so limited. You can only pick five. I think all those there are deserving and had great direction behind them.
Yep, I agree.
I don't know how you really get around that.
It's hard to like really broach the conversation without sounding like,
It is.
I mean, because like, yeah, the work was there. The work was totally there. I mean, like it's not
Sure.
to say that like, oh, like I mean, and it was getting acknowledgement from critics, like everything. Like, uh, I don't know, man. It's a tough one. I always have like, this was so much easier when we had a girl on the podcast, so it's like she could actually like say like a lot of these
Right.
things.
Totally.
Um, uh, but yeah, I agree with you. I think it's hard because like once you go like that person should be there, but then now you have to make the decision of like, okay,
Mm.
then who doesn't deserve to be there? Who do you take away? Like, I mean, they put in
And
hard
then
work
does the
too, right?
conversation become, oh, right? And then the conversation becomes, did they not get did Steven Spielberg or Martin McDonagh get left off because they're a man and we had to give one to a woman? Like, is that what becomes of
Right.
that? Like, I
Exactly.
think people will start like asking those questions. I had something else lined up to say that just left my head, but oh well. Oh yeah. Well, you get 10 Best Picture nominated movies, one of which is directed by a woman. I think it makes sense that if you're going to limit that to five for directors, I mean, the numbers
Yeah.
add up that most of them are going to be men.
Yeah, that's true.
I wouldn't even be surprised or against necessarily like adding in another, splitting the directing uh categories to accommodate women or something.
Oh,
I can't really see that
like
happening, but
like
men just
best
make
male,
up so much. Yeah,
best male director and best female director, like kind of like they
I,
do with the acting awards.
kind of like I think that if there's going to be a category where they introduce that change in, it should be directing. It's really the only other category where that's much of an issue. But also just got to acknowledge too that I wouldn't know anything in terms of numbers or percentages, but men just vastly make up a wider proportion of directors out there than women do.
No, yeah, it's
The
true.
numbers
I
reflect
mean,
that.
the numbers reflect that, and unfortunately, it's because a lot of women aren't given the same opportunities as men to
That's
make
that's a great that's a great point.
certain movies.
That's a
They have
good
to
point.
fight a lot harder.
Yes,
You
there's
know,
barriers.
yeah, for sure. I mean, I get. Don't get me wrong. I get the upset. I get like the you want to
Yeah.
wake up on a morning like this and be like, oh, let's see like representation and then like
Yep.
it's kind of not there. Um, but like you said, it's a slippery slope. It's hard to like
It
decide
is.
how to like who's gonna But
Right.
it's problems are never gonna go away though. I mean, they'll be
It
like
really won't.
it'll be like this time next year, and it'll be the same discussion probably about like
I'm sure you're right. Let's bookmark
like
this.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, there's other technical awards that you guys can kind of like jump into. I mean, like Lady Gaga's got another Oscar nomination for her Top Gun song. Uh, oh, I'll mention this snub because one of my friends is a big Taylor Swift fan. She was supposed to, she was possibly going to get nominated for her song
Oh,
for "Rare the Crawdads,"
right.
whatever.
Carolina.
Yeah, yeah, it was on
Yeah.
the short list. It didn't get nominated, which is crazy because, like, if you want people to watch the Oscars, you probably would nominate Taylor Swift for Best Original
Right.
Song. But they didn't. They did not. But you know what? You have a lot of pop music representation with
Yeah, you got
Rihanna,
Rihanna in there. Yeah, Lady
yeah,
Gaga.
and honestly, I don't think either one of them are going to win. It's going to go to that RRR song. It seems like
Yeah,
it's winning everything, and
I agree.
I don't know what the criteria is for winning Best Original Song, because every time I hear "Lift Me Up" by Rihanna, the scene that they play it in during the movie is a really highly emotional scene, and it kind of goes with the scene. So like
Okay.
it's like what you're watching, and then also hearing the music. So like I was like,
Right.
if you're basing it on that, like I feel like that should win. So I don't know what the criteria though is for like best original song. Is it like composition, or is it like lyrics? How it relates to the movie. I don't know how they pick it.
Beats me.
Um,
I have no idea.
but I know a lot of people will be happy if not too one. So
Yeah.
I won't hate it.
Adding that
But
to
yeah,
the list of movies I got to see before
don't have
March
to see it still.
12th because now I got
Yeah.
to see RRR big time.
But yeah, the Academy Awards are March 12th, as you said, at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and it's gonna be a big day. Um,
Cannot wait.
cannot wait.
Jimmy Kimmel hosting.
Yep, yes, a very good host, Oscar host, by the way, too.
Yeah, he's reliable. Love him.
All right, so I'm not gonna spend too much time on this, but the day before, traditionally, um, the Oscar nominations, we also get the Razzie nominations, which are
Mm.
they honor the worst of the of the year.
Air quotes
Uh,
here.
Air quotes, big air quotes. A lot of
and
people
they
think
are
they're pretty.
savage.
A lot of people think it's a very mean spirited, outdated awards ceremony. Like last year, they nominated every movie Bruce Willis was in 2021, and that was before they found out that like he was like
Oh
sick.
no.
So then they rescinded the nomination when they found out that he actually was sick. Uh,
Oh,
yeah, which is at least they did that right.
that's yeah, points.
But yeah, worst picture. You've heard about Blonde for Anna de Armas. Like she's the only good thing about it, apparently, according to everyone.
Oh God.
That's nominated for worst picture. Disney's Pinocchio, which is on Disney Plus, is nominated for worst picture.
No
Uh,
surprise there.
Good Morning. I guess it's a movie that stars Machine Gun Kelly. Never heard of it, but it's up there for
He got
worst
like
picture.
5 nominations for that movie, or Razzie noms. Like
He
and like
did.
producing. I think he directed it too. Like God,
Yeah, The King's Daughter,
let's hear
which I
him.
actually had to review for the website a while ago. It's Pierce Brosnan. It was a long delayed movie. It's not
Okay,
good. And then Morbius.
no,
I'm not surprised to see that there at all.
man. Okay, does it? I remember seeing that. Does that movie not seem like it's been out for like a lifetime now? Like I forgot that, that was even 2022. That movie's just been out forever.
Well,
It
because it was
seems.
supposed to come out so much earlier, but it got like delayed because of COVID.
Oh,
So like,
that's what it is.
so you were seeing trailers for it like forever, like
In
for like
2020, probably.
it
Yeah,
felt
no,
like it felt like a long time. I felt that way about
that's why.
oh god, what was it? The Kingsman, the prequel that they did. That movie was supposed to come out like a long time before it got
That's a good
released,
point. Yeah,
and that trailer played for like I saw that trailer so much over like a year,
that's a
and
good point.
I was like unaware when it finally came out. I was like, oh, cool. So worst actor, we mentioned Machine Gun Kelly. His real name is Colson Baker. I did not know that.
Yeah, that's right.
uh, Pete Davidson for doing a voice in Marmaduke. Tom Hanks for Pinocchio. Jared Leto for
Oh,
Morbius, and Sylvester Stallone for The Samaritan. Um,
wow.
it's
Sorry, Sly.
yeah, it's weird putting Tom Hanks in. I mean, I whatever. It's he wasn't like awful.
People
Um,
really don't like that movie, man.
it's not good. It's really not good.
No,
But
I
it's
haven't
not.
seen it. I never will, but
It's
geez.
worst actress. All right, Ryan Kiera Armstrong is 12 years old. She's in Firestarter. They nominated her for worst
My
actress.
God.
It's already
They
bad
don't
enough.
care.
It's already bad enough that the movie got like shitty reviews and no one really liked it. I think this is really mean, and it can actually like she could be the target of like bullies. Kids are awful to each other,
Oh, kids are
and
horrendous to each other.
like a lot of people are like they should take this away, and like they should have nominated a 12-year-old girl, um, in the category like this as worst actress, but they did anyway, and they actually haven't said anything about any of the pushback, yet.
Really.
Uh, so I'm
Yeah, I
guessing
gotta
they're
say that's in
gonna
bad taste.
Bryce
But if it
Dallas
fits
Howard. Yeah, yeah, I guess. Bryce Dallas
for
Howard for
Jurassic
Jurassic
Park.
for Dominion. She's not that bad in the movie either, but whatever.
Whoa.
The movie's not good, but like she's not awful
No.
in it.
Okay.
Diane
That's one
Diane
I've
Keaton.
avoided too.
Yeah, they don't. I mean, if you feel like you really need to finish that like new trilogy, go right ahead. But it's not good.
I don't. I like the premise of it of the third one, but it just got such terrible reviews.
Yeah.
Anyway, Diane Keaton, what was she in?
Mac and Rita. I haven't seen it. Don't know anything about it.
Don't know what
I will
that is.
say it says that actually there's a description beneath their picture. Plays a 30-year-old woman who gets magically transformed into a senior citizen. That's the plot of Mac and Rita.
Wow. Okay.
Alicia Silverstone for the I've never even heard of this. The Requiem. I don't know what it is. And Kaya. God, I'm gonna misspell her name or say it. Scudelario for the King's Daughter.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Worst
That was
remake,
accurate.
ripoff, or sequel. Blonde. Uh, 365 days this day and the next 365 days. There's like next Netflix movies.
They made
Uh,
2 of those in 1 year.
yeah.
Oh my god.
And Disney's Pinocchio
Blasphemy.
up there again. Firestarter and Jurassic World Dominion. And I'll even go through like I will say Tom Hanks is acknowledged twice as worst supporting actor for Elvis, so he has 2 Razzie nominations. I don't like living in a world where we say that Tom Hanks is like the worst in something.
I know that's just seems so unfair. Granted, I remember feeling this way seeing the Elvis trailers and not really digging his accent and his performance in the trailers. I
Yeah,
wouldn't have thought Razzie material for Tom. Like
yeah,
that's a little far, but I do remember being like, "Ugh, I don't like that."
at all.
Oh
Pete
well.
Davidson, Good Morning. So that's I guess the Machine Gun Kelly movie. Samuel for Blonde, and Evan Williams for Blonde. A lot of people in Blonde. Worst screen couple, Colson Baker and Mod Sun in Good Morning. Both real life characters. Oh God. In the fallacious White House bedroom scene in Blonde. So you have to see the movie to know what that is. Um,
Yeah, I have an
Tom Hanks.
idea.
Tom Hanks and his latex latent face and ludicrous accent in Elvis. And Andrew Dominic and his issues with women in Blonde. Who's the director of Blonde.
My God,
And
people are
so
savage with that movie.
they
People are
are
really disappointed. It wasn't what they thought it was going to be, and now they're taking it out
out hard.
on the Razzies. Like
Yeah,
that's what you get when your expectations are too high for something and you want something out of a movie instead of just appreciating it for what it is.
yeah,
Now again, that's one that's jumping high on my list to see.
yeah. Worst director. Let's just get out of the way. Andrew Dominic Blonde, Judd Apatow, The Bubble, Colson Baker, Machine Gun Kelly for Good Morning, Daniel Espinosa for Morbius, and Robert Zemeckis for Disney's Pinocchio. That's so crazy that Robert
Oof,
Zemeckis is like listed as like a worst director. And then
that's
worst
crazy too.
screenplay. Worst screenplay. Can you guess what's on here?
Blonde.
Blonde, yeah, number one. Disney's Pinocchio, Good Morning, Jurassic World Dominion, and Morbius. Yeah, poor Blonde,
Wow.
and I guess poor Tom Hanks. I don't know. I don't like that. I think it's
Yeah. No.
like I feel like they could have left him out of that and not like really paid much mind to it. I think it's kind of rude. It's like if
Big
like
time.
if
I don't know.
yeah, you know,
Sorry, what?
and I do respect some actors do show up to accept their Razzies in person, and like I think that so the year that Sandra Bullock won an Oscar for The Blind Side, she won a Razzie for All About Steve, and she accepted her Razzie for All About Steve in person, made jokes about it. It was great. Halle Berry, when she got nominated for Catwoman for Razzie, she
Accepted it?
accept she accepted it in person, and she mocked her like Oscar speech, being like, "Oh, I'm so happy! I'm like the first black woman to win a Razzie." Like she made fun of it, and like you know,
Okay. Good for
Adam
her.
Sandler's never gone to collect his Razzies. He's won a
How many
lot.
he must be a fucking award like a record holder for
Yeah,
Razzies. Jesus. He's
yeah,
oh
yeah. He's never accepted it, and you would think that someone that's like good with comedy would like accept it, but like no, has not.
yeah,
Uh,
I was gonna say earlier, I don't know where the Razzies like I don't even know how I feel about them or where their place in like just the movie industry is. Like if we'll see them in the next decade, if it'll be around forever, or if people think that they do have a genuine position in the conversation of film in the movie industry. I don't really know how I feel. It's not a
yeah,
ceremony I've paid all that much attention to over the years. Like there's times where I've, just been scrolling through trivia and, seeing a particular actor or movie as a Razzie. And it's what are the Golden Raspberry Awards? Is that what
yeah.
it's short for?
That's short for. Yeah, I think they used to be considered funny, and I think in the current climate where like the last few years people are like more cautious about like the jokes they make and like the
Yeah.
things they say.
The,
It's
yeah,
been
the climate has changed.
it's been viewed a lot differently now, where it's like some people don't even think you should award the worst in anything. Like I know at the end of the year, a lot of people are like, I don't know if I want to do like my 10 worst films of the year because like they think it's like insulting to the
Chris
people that made them.
Stuckman
Yeah,
comes to mind. He stopped
yeah,
doing a 10 worst of the year. And I mean, I commend him for that because
yeah,
no one wants to. It's one thing to like point out a movie you were disappointed with or something you weren't, something that you really didn't like.
yeah,
But at that point, at what point are you really just like throwing hate, throwing shade? And is that really what you want to be covering? And that's why I kind of think his approach for dropping his 10 worst movies of the year list
yeah,
is. And I think it's a good move. And he's just not that kind of like, he's the kind of guy that just loves film. But you're right. A lot of other people have been dropping that. It's a trend we're seeing. And I don't necessarily not like it. But
yeah. I agree. All right, there's one thing, and I just want to get your quick thoughts on it.
yeah.
Just because, and it has to do. So when we first started the podcast, the Russ movie shooting was like the biggest story,
Oh,
like, and it was like, and we didn't know
that was
if
that
we
long
should,
ago, eh?
and we didn't know if we should cover it or not because it was like, oh, is it too serious? But it was such a big industry story that it was like, I think
Yeah.
we, I
I,
think
I
we
think
should
it's a
cover
good
it
call to cover it.
and
Yeah.
then cover it respectfully. Um, like
I'd
you
love to hear
probably
your thoughts
know,
on it. We haven't chatted this before. So
yeah. So like Elena Hutchins, of course. I mean, tragically, they're Alec Baldwin, and they're going over a scene with like a prop gun, or whatever, and wasn't aware that there was an actual like bullet loaded in the gun. They were setting it up for a camera shot. Depending on who you believe, he says he didn't pull the trigger; it just went off. The DA when they brought these new things, like these new charges out, they said there's no way that gun could have fired if he didn't pull the trigger. But like it just depends on like who you believe. But like it hits her, hits the director as well. She dies. Director is injured, survives, and then it becomes a big discussion about who's at fault. Like it, if it's him as an actor, or if it's the armorer who is in charge of like taking care of the guns and like making sure that they're uh unloaded properly, handled properly, all this kind of things. Like, so there was a long
Right.
investigation about it. Um, a lot of people were like, Alec Baldwin, please stop talking. He did an interview with like ABC, and like
Yeah, I saw that.
that
Didn't look great. It didn't
that
look great on
didn't
him.
that didn't help. I think, and I'm sure he had a lawyer that was like, "What the hell are you doing?"
Yeah, the guy needs some PR help because he literally was asked outright if he felt guilty for it, and he just denied feeling any guilt. Right? Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, because he kind of was like, it was. I mean, I
Holy
think he
Christ,
felt.
man!
It seemed like he felt empathy, but like he was like, I didn't. It was an accident. He didn't do it on purpose.
Right.
So that
He
kind
doesn't
of
want to feel
thing. Like,
culpable.
and like if you're her husband who has like that's not like the last thing you want to hear. I think like he lost his wife,
Yeah,
their kid lost their mother. Like it's a really tragic thing. But like they said that this would be I want to mention her name too, Elena Hutchins. I didn't want to just say that she was a
yeah.
cinematographer on the shoot. Um, and this has been, wow, I didn't realize it was this long. 18 months since this happened. It's crazy because I
Jeez,
feel like it just
I
but
remember waking up to the headlines. Like that's crazy.
but yeah, the Santa Fe District Attorney Mary Carmack announced on January 19th that the county would be bringing charges against Alec Baldwin for the cinematographer's death of Hutchins, and also the armorer is also being charged with involuntary
Yeah,
manslaughter.
that makes sense to me. Um, Granted, I have no real like say, or my opinion doesn't really have any weight on this matter, but just for the sake of saying it, we're talking about it. That seems to
Yeah,
make sense. Like if what I understand is the armorer handed the gun to Alec Baldwin and declared it safe to be using, shouldn't have
insane.
really had a bullet in it in the first place. So that
Right,
is definitely some culpability in that position.
right.
I'm, to be honest, like just reflecting on this, like after the charges came out, I was surprised to see that there were actually charges levied against Alec Baldwin. I'm a little
Right.
torn. I get both sides of the argument as to if he should, have responsibility for this. So
Yeah.
I don't really even know that I have my mind made up if I feel that he is guilty or whatever word you want to use. But what are you thinking?
I'm like, I'm torn on it because, like, again, it's an accident. He didn't intend to do it. It's not like, and I
Right.
maintained that when this first happened, right?
Yep.
Um, I think what's bothered me since the initial story broke, and where we're at now, and it has a lot to do with the interview and then the things that he said in other little interviews that he's given.
Yep.
I get self preservation and kind of like you need to distance yourself from it and like protect yourself.
Sure.
But
I can't say I would do any different.
but like you're also as he's also a producer on the movie, so like he has a
Right.
certain amount of
That's
responsibility as well as making sure that like that set is safe, making sure there's no corners that are being cut. um
yep.
and I get it, it was a low budget, it's a low budget movie, and like usually on low budget movies this got talked about a lot when this story first happened, that like a lot of corners get cut, and there's certain things that like certain people are working on it, they don't feel safe doing certain things, or like they're like, hey, like this is definitely how we shouldn't be doing this, like we need more time, or like why is this stuff being handled better. I get that, but like I kind of think he didn't do himself any favors by overly backpedaling to get his way kind of out of it. um
Yeah, not in terms of not doing himself any favors in terms of, the court of public opinion. Like he's not,
right,
but like all that aside, that shouldn't really matter in terms of the actual objective incident and what went down.
right,
Like I can't get over the fact that there was just actual bullets anywhere, even on the set. Like that's just not a standard practice. There's really
yeah,
no reason, excuse why that should have been had even any projectile inside the gun. And I agree with people that are saying that Alec Baldwin shouldn't have had any shred of reason to suspect anything was going to come out of that gun.
right,
So like that's kind of hard to argue with. Like he really, I can't imagine he must have been obviously quite surprised that no one was expecting that to happen. But then
Right.
again, there's also you hear actors saying that when they're on action movie sets that are handling prop guns, they always check it even after it being handed to them, like the prop
Right.
from the armor or the prop master. And the fact that that wasn't didn't go through that final check ended up costing someone their life. So it's hard to argue that either. So this is why I'm split. I don't really know. I won't be
Yeah. I
happy to
mean,
see he gets charged. Like I don't want that for him, but I mean, someone's
I
got to
don't
be
really.
accountable.
It's. I feel like in my head that it's more the armorer's responsibility to have made sure
Yeah,
that was.
I see that.
But I think what it's going to come down to, and this is what the DA is arguing, is whether or not he pulled the trigger. So like if you're holding, even if it's like if you're holding a gun, I mean, even though they're testing a shot, I get it. They're like trying to set up a shot and see like how it looks on camera, like all that stuff. But like you know, not supposed to really like fire it. And he was saying that and according to him, he was like, I would never fire a gun at someone, even if it was to like test out a shot.
Right.
Um, the way he described how it went off did really make a lot of sense to me. It still
Doesn't
doesn't.
make sense to me either.
And it doesn't make sense to the DA who was like, I that gun cannot go off unless someone pulls the trigger. And I think that is what it's going to come down to for him. Like,
Yeah.
if his lawyers can prove that like he didn't, or if they have more proof in the fact that like no, there's no way that could have happened unless he did. That's what it's all going to come down to for
Yeah,
him.
I agree.
Um, it's a pretty shitty, tragic thing though. I mean, like we've had to deal. I mean,
There's no good outcome.
yeah, I mean, like in set shoot. I mean, like the most notorious one is from like The Crow back in the early '90s. Like Brandon Lee. That's
Yeah.
how he died on set, and like and that was another example of corners being cut and someone not checking things the way they were supposed to check them. Um, shouldn't be like that now, and like that. I mean, but that was the most surprising thing about the whole thing. It's just like wow, like even today, when like how safe set should be, especially when you're dealing with guns. Uh, yeah, I mean it's a shitty situation. They're still
It
doing
very
the
much
movie
is.
too. The movie is
Yeah.
still in
Well, they
production.
should. I think they
And yeah,
should.
a lot of people have like gotten on the fact that the husband is an executive producer on it, but like it comes down to like the money he gets, whatever money the movie makes. It's not gonna make a lot of money, but like whatever money it makes, he's donating it to his kids' college fund. So like, I mean, he wants something good to come out of it.
Of
It's not
course.
like why are you working on that movie where your wife is killed? Like, he has to make
Yeah.
something good out of it.
Yeah, and
Um,
I look at it too as this is Elena Hutchinson's last piece of art that
prop-
she's working on, and like I'm sure I obviously can't speak for her, but I'd imagine as an artist putting your heart and soul and your time and your effort into a project that you would want to see it come to its completion and shouldn't have all that hard work discounted because of what
yeah,
happened. Like there's still a film to be made, and it's by no means the first movie to have had someone die on set and it be completed. So I don't necessarily like anyone arguing that it shouldn't be made. I think there's a lot of flaws in that argument. Not one I really
right.
prescribe to, but I get why it would be a complicated, controversial matter, though, for sure.
I guess so too. Um, so we have a couple of things to wrap things up here. I just want to point out, like, I know people want us to cover box office, and we will in more detail on next episode. But I do want to mention, just because there was a lot of question about whether Avatar could make it to $2 billion at the worldwide box office.
Right.
Don't bet against James Cameron. It has made it to $2 billion at the global box office and counting.
Crazy.
Um, I, you know what, we've said it before. It's good. It's good for the overall like marketplace to have it, be successful. Uh,
Yep.
and I there are a lot of us eating crow right now who said it wouldn't make it to $2 billion. Um, yeah, I mean, good for him. I
That
I don't
can't
want to
take
be a
away from
hater.
him.
I don't
No,
want to
me
be a
either.
hater at all.
Uh,
It's good for it's good for business, and it's
yeah,
I
I'll
just yeah,
say,
we're
yeah,
just gonna get
I
so many more of these movies. Sorry.
we are. I know, and it's like I know I'm conflicted. I wish more people had gone to see Babylon because like Avatar's just made an obscenely amount of money. I would have liked to seen Babylon do a little bit better, but it is
Yeah,
what it is. I still haven't seen
agreed.
either, so I can't I can't say anything.
Agreed. And, yeah,
Yeah,
and then like when we cover box office on the next episode, we'll like cover like the top five to kind of see what kind of came out that week and what did well. I will mention
Sure.
Megan though, because Megan is still going strong. $12 million
Well, yeah. What are
budget,
we at for Megan now? What's its total?
73.1 million domestically.
Sheesh.
And of course they announced they're making a sequel in 2025.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get more scary doll dancing and
Mm.
you know I didn't know that Allison Williams, the star, she is also a producer on the movie, so she gets a little kickback from
Oh,
how well it's doing. And
good for
she was an
her. I didn't know that either.
executive producer on the first one. They're making her a producer on the sequel, so she's gonna get a nice little probably pay bump for
Yeah,
the sequel. So that's pretty good. Good for you.
that's wicked.
Uh, yeah. I mean, they, Avatar and Megan are keeping the box office. Oh, and Puss in Boots: The Last Wish are keeping the January
Oh,
box
yeah.
office like afloat right now.
Right.
Until we get, I think the biggest release we have coming up, February 3rd. I think it's the Knock at the Cabin, the M Night Shyamalan movie.
Oh, yes.
Uh,
Be interested to see that one.
so that one should do well at the box office. Um, so we're gonna end it. I'm gonna with we have the first full trailer for Scream 6. We got a teaser trailer
Right.
last month, which was like a really good teaser trailer. It was just like, them on the subway, and I think
Right.
it's Halloween. I think it's Halloween because everyone's dressed up. There's multiple ghost faces on the subway. It was a good solid little like teaser.
I
Uh
like the teaser. I'll put it that
yeah.
way.
The full trailer, I actually really liked, and I'm intrigued because it seems like it's darker, not as
Right.
like jokey as like the other ones have been. I feel like they're
Right.
trying to raise the stakes a bit more by like uh I mean, I think also when you have like the confidence of you're coming off of a hit, like you kind of go into the next one like a bit more like, a little bit more brave to like try new things. And it seems like they're trying a lot. I mean, there's a lot of fan theories already online about what certain things mean. There's this whole like ghost face shrine in the trailer. It's like a shot, and everyone
Yeah.
has their idea like, oh, it must be a cult, or like, oh, it must be like
The
everyone thinks
cult of
Stu. Yeah,
Ghostface.
yeah. Everyone thinks that like Stu is back. And in case you don't know who Stu is,
Yep.
he was in the first movie. He died. But everyone has been trying to bring him back since like Scream 2. Like they were like,
Yeah.
a TV fell in his
Somebody
face. I
was
mean, I don't know. I don't know how he
Yeah,
could come
that's what I
back.
was gonna say. It's like, yeah, it looks like he conclusively dies in the first one, but I've heard people saying
Yeah,
that you don't necessarily get a concrete answer onto what his fate is. I'd have to
yeah,
rewatch the first one to really make up my mind. But
yeah.
interesting, the part of the cult or the shrine of Ghostface that I wanted to point out is like, and I didn't make this connection at first, but there are 9 Ghostface like mannequins, if you will, on this stage
Yeah.
somewhere, and which is, I guess, will tie into the 9 people who have donned the Ghostface
The
costume
Ghostface
over
one.
the span of the 5 movies, which is cool. That's going to definitely have something to do with it. I'm guessing
Yeah,
that's a cool
that's
little
like.
nod. I'll say.
And then like also in that Shrine of Ghost Faces, there's also other mannequins that have like outfits on from some of the other characters. Like there you can see like Rose McGowan's like Tatum's like green shirt
Okay.
and orange skirt in like one shot. I think Stu's outfits there as well. There's a lot of stuff that people have been like really looking at to kind of see if they can figure out like what's going on.
Right.
They showed more of Hayden Panettiere in this trailer.
Is that
She was a
Kirby?
Kirby. She was a fan favorite
Yeah.
from Scream 4. Everyone's
Yeah.
happy that they brought her back. Um, it's not looking too good for Courtney Cox though. I mean, like from what I saw in the
No.
trailer, it looks like they might kill her. And like I mean, I'm just speculating, but it doesn't look like it's
I would
gonna end
100%
well.
say that's where her character is heading. Like she's the last legacy character. I mean, I guess there's options for Neve Campbell to come back and
Yeah,
sequels down the road. Her character's still alive. But
yeah.
yeah, the only returning legacy character into this movie, not looking good, we'll say by horror movie rules. So
No, not
I
at
think you're
all.
right. I think you're onto something.
And Courtney Cox has an executive producer credit this time, so it's like maybe it's like this one final like like
Oh,
before she goes.
right.
It's gonna piss a lot of people off if they kill her though. I mean, there are people that like it's true of like every horror franchise, but like the Scream franchise, like people love those characters. Like, I mean, whenever
Right.
we covered anything with Nev Campbell, like her doing it or not doing it, it was like usually the biggest story on our site because like it was just like
Oh, yeah.
people are just
Wow.
interested, like they're like devoted fans and like really like the character and like a lot of people wish that Paramount would have paid her what she felt that she was worth to come back. They might
Right.
fix that if they make another one. I hope they do fix it if they want to make another one. Um, but yeah, to kill off the last, I mean, I can. It doesn't look good. I mean, I know it's just a
No.
trailer and there's a lot of quick cuts. But I think she might die. And
Yeah. If I were a betting man, which I am,
yeah,
I will. I would say
uh,
that she doesn't stand a
um,
good chance.
I was also surprised given her popularity and the success of Wednesday. They didn't really show a ton of Jenna Ortega in the trailer. Like she's in it,
No,
but
they didn't.
they didn't put an emphasis on her, which also has
Hmm.
led people to believe like there might be more going on with her this time around than like uh her introduction.
Right.
I've seen some like she might be the killer theories. I've seen like a lot of different
Mm,
things. Uh,
I
but yeah,
hope
I'm
they don't
surprised.
take it that way.
I hope not too. But I'm surprised they didn't use her more, given the fact that she's blown up like a lot since the first Scream that she was in. Um,
Yeah, I'd say that she's definitely positioned to carry that franchise forward. She's definitely a favorite character from that from Scream 5. She's an up and coming actress, especially proving her weight in the horror movie genre. So I'd be surprised if they don't, full utilize her in the movie, but maybe they're just hiding some stuff from us in the trailer they don't want us to see, which support. As we
yeah,
were saying recently, trailers usually, if anything, give us too much rather.
right.
So that'd be a
And this was
welcome
like a
change.
pretty like this was a decently like long trailer by trailer standards, but I feel like it didn't really give away a ton of stuff. It was just like, I mean, I guess it did enough to make people go like, I wonder what this is. I wonder what that is. Like, people are already like
Yep.
theorizing like what all this could really mean. Watch everyone be wrong. But like that's kind of happens sometimes.
I hope.
Uh,
I hope we're wrong.
yeah, but like for everyone interested, Scream 6 is out on March 10th. God, I feel like when they announced this stuff to now, it came so fast. Like it's crazy. Like Scream
I kind
5
of
came out.
forgot it was this year. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. Scream 5 came out in January of last year. Like that's
That's
crazy.
crazy.
The turnaround on
You don't
this is
see
so
that
crazy.
these days. No.
Oh, you got they're like we got to strike while the iron's hot, dude.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
see that.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that's everything, right? Like, I mean, I know
I
we are
think we
like
got it all.
yeah, there was the BAFTA stuff, but like that's pretty much like it's the British Academy Awards. If you guys really want to look up the nominations, they're similar to that of the Oscars right
Mhm.
now, with a few exceptions. But I'll link all the links for like the Oscar nominations, the BAFTA nominations, so you guys can take a look at it.
For sure.
Uh, and then I'll also link up the Scream 6 trailer in case you guys haven't seen that as well, so you guys can take a
Good
look at
idea.
that
And we will
too.
cover some box office next week a little bit more extensively too. Hopefully this week will give us lots of news to chat about.
Yep. Hopefully. I mean, I think like the award season thing kind of calms down a little bit because like we got the Oscar
Yeah.
nominations out. Now it's just like a wait and see until March 12th.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, we have some exciting things that we're trying to plan for you guys. That's not just news. Um, uh, like me and Jackson are gonna talk about off the line here very soon. I just want to tease it, just be like, "Whoa, what are they gonna do?"
Yeah, big time. It's the beginning of the year is a slow time for releases and whatnot, and generally in news. So we'll definitely have a lot of some experimental and creative stuff that we'll throw in here to chat about, which I'm excited to get to.
Yeah, definitely. And as always, you can listen to us across all of our various podcast platforms: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Good Pods, wherever you get your podcasts fix. Also, if you have the time, rate, review, let us know what you're thinking of the show so far. Um, all
Yes,
that
we
kind
like
of feedback
feedback, guys.
all that feedback is good, even if it's something negative. I want to hear it, so like maybe we can fix it. I hope it's mostly good. I hope it's all good. But like, if there's anything that you think we should do,
We'll
any
take it if
ideas,
you got it.
yeah, any ideas for future episodes, like you know, anything that you think that we should do, we would love to do it. I know down the line, because I feel like Jackson has kind of got his footing already in all this. We will eventually be having like guests on to kind of join us in conversations too, which will be
Absolutely.
fun. Which will be really fun. And maybe that'll be one of you guys listening. So like, yeah, if you're ever interested in popping on, we'll throw some topics your way and see if we can get you on as well. So I think it'll be a lot of fun. But yeah,
Yes,
but
pleasure
as
talking
all,
movies with you guys. Thank you for listening. We'll see you
yeah.
next week.
See you guys next week. Thank you and peace.